Mona Hanna-Attisha, What the Eyes Don't See, a story of crisis, resistance, and hope in an American city. Dive into the engaging story of Flint, Michigan, and the heroic efforts of Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha to uncover the dangerous lead poisoning crisis plaguing the American city. The book, What the Eyes Don't See, a story of crisis, resistance, and hope in an American city, chronicles not only Flint's systemic problems of racism and environmental injustices, but also carries a strong message about activism and resilience. Explore the profound impact of Mona's research and collaboration with activists, which has changed the lives of Flint's people and inspired hope for a better future.
The resilience of Mona Hanna-Attisha's family. Mona Hanna-Attisha's family has a long history of activism and resilience. Her parents were progressive-minded people who opposed the Ba'athist regime in Iraq, but it was Mona's grandfather and his cousin who best represented the family's ongoing commitment to fighting injustice. Haji, Mona's grandfather, had a great love for all people and was inspired by his cousin Nuri, who fought against fascism in Spain and remained a hero to his relatives despite spending half his life either hiding or in jail. While Mona's parents always hoped to return to their homeland, Iraq's history of enlightenment had been marred by the militant, fascist Ba'ath party, led by Saddam Hussein. Mona's love letter to Flint. Mona, originally from the UK, moved to Michigan, where her father worked for General Motors. She did her medical schooling and clinical training in Flint, where she fell in love with the city's resilience and activism. Despite the exploitative conditions and danger that the GM workers faced in the 1930s, they fought for better rights and conditions, which ultimately led to the recognition of the United Auto Workers Union. This event is remembered as the strike heard around the world. Flint has a rich legacy of activism and resilience. The racist policies that took a toll on Flint. The Great Migration brought over 6 million African Americans to northern cities in search of decent employment, including Flint. However, the city suffered from racist housing and lending practices, with GM even encouraging such policies. Attempts to integrate neighborhoods and schools were met with racist campaigns, and riots in 1967 were the culmination of years of racist policies. Though fair housing policies were eventually enacted in 1968, blockbusting continued, leading to the Autoworld fiasco in the 1980s. Flint became exhibit number 1 in evidence for the catastrophic realities of a post-industrial world, with factories closing down and the city falling into disrepair. Flint water crisis. In an attempt to save costs, Flint, Michigan elected an emergency manager in 2011, resulting in 50% of its African American residents living in areas controlled by non-elected officials. In 2014, Flint switched its water source to the Flint River, but never added anti-corrosive additives. This led to high levels of lead in the public water supply, which could have been avoided if officials had paid attention to warnings by General Motors and tested the water prior to the source change. The threat of lead poisoning. Lead is a highly toxic substance that poses a severe threat to human health. What makes it particularly hazardous is that lead poisoning symptoms are not readily apparent. Children, especially infants, are highly vulnerable to lead poisoning. Its exposure can interrupt their brain development and cause memory issues, attention disorders, mood disorders, and loss of impulse control. Studies suggest that lead poisoning in childhood can increase the likelihood of violent behavior in adulthood. The use of highly toxic tetraethyl, TEL, lead as an additive in automotive gasoline by GM in 1923 caused harm to workers and released dangerous amounts of lead into America's air and soil through car exhaust. Regular ethanol could have solved the NOx problem, but TEL lead was patented and made profitable. It's crucial to know that no amount of lead is safe for human consumption. Resilience and health of children. Protecting children from adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, means uncovering problems that the eyes don't see. Children, being resilient and vulnerable at the same time, need caring and nurturing adults in their communities. While ACEs negatively impact a child's health, building resilience can help heal the brain and improve neural connections. To provide holistic care, pediatric doctors must understand a child's environmental and community factors in addition to knowing symptoms of common diseases and genetic disorders. Flint water disaster. Mona discovers lead contamination in Flint water after a memo is leaked from EPA and evidence confirms high levels of lead in children's blood samples. Mona, a pediatrician in Flint, became aware of the severe water problem in her city after a conversation with her childhood friend Ellen, who works for a think tank. Ellen disclosed a leaked memo from an EPA employee, Miguel del Toro, revealing dangerously high levels of lead in water tests taken at a Flint household. Similar to the situation in D.C. between 2000 and 2004, the government in Flint had been covering up the water problem, despite consistent statements to the contrary, and manipulating tests to meet minimum standards. Mona, shocked by the evidence, confirmed the worst when she found a 7% increase in children under the age of 5 with elevated lead levels in their blood samples after the water switch. She had been reassuring parents that Flint tap water was safe to use, but the officials had dropped the ball badly. The data set was small and came only from Mona's clinic, so she expanded the data to find more results and confirm her suspicions. The Flint water crisis remains a long-standing issue that took years to resolve, with its catastrophic impact still being felt by Flint residents today. Mona's discovery of lead contamination in Flint water serves as a testament to the importance of transparency in government and the need for persistent pressure from whistleblowers, activists, and conscientious citizens to ensure that officials protect their constituents. Mona's quest for safe water. Mona's relentless pursuit to uncover the Flint water crisis and enlist the help of environmental engineer Mark Edwards results in conclusive research showing rising cases of lead poisoning among children. Mona couldn't ignore the worsening water crisis in Flint. She approached environmental engineer Mark Edwards, despite warnings of his controversial reputation. With Mark's guidance, Mona compiled a thorough report that revealed conclusively the increase in lead poisoning cases among Flint's children. Despite the uphill battle, Mona's quest for safe water paid off. Her unwavering determination and Mark's expertise set the stage for necessary action to be taken. Battle for Flint's future. Mona's report reveals Flint's contaminated water, but it faced political pushback from state officials who denied the issue. After presenting her findings, Mona received support from a Michigan senator, but the mayor remained noncommittal due to political ambition. The Michigan Department of Environmental Quality continued to deny the water crisis and discredit Mona's report, leading to public ridicule and backlash. Mona's steely resolve. Mona, a pediatrician, stands her ground as she reveals the lead contamination in Flint's water supply, despite facing ridicule and pressure from Michigan state officials. Through her unflinching determination and credible scientific research, Mona perseveres to bring attention to the crisis, gaining media coverage and eventually persuading the state to take her seriously. With the help of a fellow state official, Mona's data is supported, and Flint's mayor issues a lead advisory, resulting in schools halting the use of tap water. Mona's courage and persistence lead to progress in addressing the crisis, demonstrating the importance of speaking up for what is right and holding those in power accountable. From crisis to hope. The story revolves around the Flint water crisis, which began in 2014 when the city of Flint started sourcing water from Flint River, resulting in an outbreak of lead poisoning in the water supply. Hanna-Attisha's tenacity and perseverance led to positive change when politicians and policymakers finally listened to her and a public health program was introduced to guide Flint out of the crisis. Through sheer perseverance, Flint's crisis became national news and garnered the support of famous personalities like Jesse Jackson and Michael Moore and fundraising efforts by the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation. The article portrays how once the state admitted there was a problem, positive change followed, and thanks to Mona's plan, over $100 million was devoted to the welfare of Flint's children. Flint water crisis exposed. The Flint water crisis serves as a reminder that environmental injustice remains prevalent in the U.S. Regardless of efforts to fix the problem, the crisis endures, requiring constant activism to further effect change. The emails and memos uncovered through persistent FOIA requests reveal state officials' reluctance to solve the issue and their encouragement of manipulating test results. The Five Guys report directly links the crisis to a loss of democracy and racial factors, highlighting the difficulty of preventing such happenings in the future. Mona Hanna-Attisha advocates for activism against environmental and social injustices, a tradition embodied by game-changers who've transformed the world through scientific solutions.
Ultimately, what the eyes don't see reveals the powerful connection between history, activism, and resilience in the face of adversity. Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha's unwavering commitment to uncovering the truth about Flint's water crisis and her proactive stance in protecting the city's residents, especially children, exemplifies the importance of advocating for social and environmental justice. This book serves as a reminder of the ongoing problems that communities like Flint continue to face, and underlines the significance of relentless activism to ensure such crises do not happen again. Armed with the resilience and determination displayed by characters throughout the story, we too can foster hope and create change for a better future.